You see the handshake, right? You can almost hear the sigh of relief from global markets. It really looks like the trade war between the United States and China might finally be cooling down. But behind the photo ops and all the headlines, what's really going on? Okay, let's dive in and deconstruct this thing. Now, on the surface, this looked like the real deal, not just some empty gesture. It seemed to put the brakes on a really damaging economic fight. And both sides made concessions they could spin as a win back home. A truce was called, and for a minute there, it felt like a genuine step forward. But is it a lasting peace, or is this just pressing the pause button? Does this handshake actually fix any of the fundamental issues between these two giants? To figure that out, we've got to look past the handshake and dig into the details, the data, and some pretty dramatic political moves happening behind the scenes. Okay, first things first, let's break down what was actually in the agreement. What did each side give and what did they get in return? So the deal has some very specific, very big numbers. China promised to buy at least $200 billion more in American stuff. I mean, that's a huge commitment. In return, the U.S. said, okay, we'll hold off on new tariffs and even cut some of the old ones in half. It's kind of this classic tit-for-tat de-escalation, right? It's all designed to calm everyone down and give both economies a little breathing room. But here's where we start to see the cracks in the foundation. This deal is fascinating, not for what it solves, but for what it completely sidesteps. Yeah, the tariffs are on pause, but all the deep-seated issues, they're still there, totally untouched. We're talking about huge disagreements over technology, who controls key supply chains, and, of course, major geopolitical hotspots like Taiwan. This isn't peace, it's a ceasefire. So, if the deal is just a ceasefire, what's the next play? Well, to understand that, we have to look beyond the economics and try to get inside the mind of China's leadership. And believe it or not, thanks to some incredible data analysis, we can actually get a rare glimpse. Get this. Researchers analyzed over a decade's worth of speeches, writings, and official communications from President Xi Jinping. We're talking 14,000 documents. And this massive pile of data shows a really dramatic change in what he's talking about, which tells us a lot about what he's prioritizing. And this chart just lays it all out, plain as day. Look at this. Mentions of key economic words like economy and market have just plummeted over the years. That laser focus on pure economic growth that really defines China for decades, it's clearly fading. Something else is taking its place. And here's what's replacing it. Words like security, govern, and this is the really telling one, struggle, have just surged. This is not the language of economic cooperation and opening up. No way. This is the language of control, of competition, and of putting national security above everything else. So let's just zero in on that one word for a second. Struggle. Today, it shows up in 29% of his major speeches. That's a massive jump from just 4% when he first came to power. This isn't just a minor change in vocabulary. This signals a huge ideological pivot toward a much more confrontational, security-first worldview. And, this shift in language isn't just talk. It has very real and very public consequences for how power is used inside China. So what you're looking at here is the Great Hall of the People during a key Communist Party meeting. Now, normally, these events are super choreographed, every detail planned, but a recent one became the stage for what one source called the most extensive public cleansing of the party's leadership in decades. Just try to imagine watching this on the evening news. The camera shows a hall packed with the country's most powerful people. A few minutes later, it pans back, and suddenly 4 entire rows are just empty. Key officials, including the defense minister and the foreign minister, had vanished, purged in plain sight for the whole country to see. So you have to ask yourself, what is behind such a dramatic public move like that? Is this a sign of a leader's paranoia? Or is there a cold, calculated purpose behind it all? Well, according to the analysis, this was absolutely purposeful. By getting rid of anyone considered disloyal, President Xi is ruthlessly tightening his grip on power. It's sending a crystal clear message. You need to show absolute loyalty to this new security-first agenda. There is zero room for dissent. Okay, so let's put all these pieces together. We've got a fragile trade deal, a leader who's shifting his focus from the economy to security, and a ruthless political purge happening at home. How does it all connect? The crucial thing to understand is that these are not separate events. They are three parts of the same story. That trade deal, it's a tactical pause, a way to keep the economy stable while the country's real focus shifts inward. The number one priority isn't just growth anymore, it's security and control. And those political purges, that's the tool being used to make sure the entire system is locked in on that new mission. And all of this leaves us with a really critical question for the future. A China that prioritizes internal control and national security over global economic partnership is a very different kind of player on the world stage. The real deal isn't about tariffs. It's about a fundamental change in a superpower's strategy. And that's something we all need to understand.